One of the most important tools a programmer uses is their development environment, which is a specific tool to build code. For this class, we're going to use code labs for practice exercises of small things, just to work on little bits of code. But when it comes to building applications, I'm going to use a tool called IDLE, which comes with basic Python. Now, it's not the fanciest tool. It doesn't have a bunch of bells and whistles. And if you've coded in Python before, or you know people are, there's definitely better tools than this to get started with. But this tool is great because it doesn't ask a lot of extra things for you to do. It's kind of like, if you drive a go-kart, it has a wheel and a pedal, and you drive it. If you get into a car, there's a lot of extra buttons, radio and whatnot to distract you. And so we're kind of keeping it simple from that. So if you go to python.org/downloads, you see that there's Python for Windows, Linux, Mac OS, and other things out there as well. So I'm not going to do an installation video for each and every one of these. These are, it installs fairly easily. I actually think I installed mine as a app add-on from the Windows Store, which might make it look slightly different. But you can see in my case, when I click on download Python, it downloads the .exe. I'm on a Windows machine here. So it's somewhat intelligent to making those things happen. 3.8.5 is perfectly fine. I don't think we're going to do anything totally specific on versions at this point. It's the version I'm using at least. The install for this is pretty straightforward. You just kind of go through and install it. So I need to give some more playing with Python on my Mac. I'm not a Mac user. I'm a Windows user overall, and most of my work has been done ahead of time. But in Windows, what I do is I just hit the window key and I type IDLE, idle. And when I do that, it pops up the idle tool. And so the idle tool looks like this when you get it up and running. And so that's where everything's up and running and working, because you get this Python shell. There'll be a ton of videos that go through and work through this Python shell. There's going to be several tracks you can choose to learn this material. The two of them that I know that I have planned already and I've already built videos for is one that does mostly text and one that starts with some graphics. And I encourage you to pick elements of each of those to go off and watch. Probably use both of those, for really learning this stuff, because they both will take different aspects of programming. But that being said, this is the starting point, and getting this set up, ideally during the first class and by the first lab, certainly by the end of the first lab, is going to be essential. You're going to be doing this in lab. So at a minimum, you probably want to get this downloaded and installed if you can. And if there's issues, then you can come to the lab, come to class. You can ask, for help on that, at the appropriate time. We'll get into more of that later, so you will be able to create new files. We'll do almost everything from creating new files. Unfortunately, I'm sharing off of my second screen here, so I have to slide everything over. But that's going to be the place where we do the code, and we'll get into that more in a different video. But this video is just to encourage you that you are seeing the right place, you're downloading the right thing. In this day and age, you can't be too careful about, getting malicious apps or things like that. And so this is the right place to be. So make sure you get this set up as soon as you can, so that way we can tackle it. If you get past the first couple of days of class without this, you're already falling behind. So don't put this off at all.